The most important lineup decision in baseball history came on May 6, 1918. Boston Red Sox first baseman Dick Hoblitzl, whose name I'm not making up, had a sore finger that day, and so the Red Sox took a risk by having pitcher Babe Ruth start at first base. At that time, of course, Ruth was one of the leading hitters of the club, sure. But, look at those stats again. That was after, 16 at-bats? And Ruth had a single home run. Now, he had hit home runs at the major league level in the past, yeah, but nobody knew at that time that Babe Ruth was going to wind up being the greatest home run hitter that the game had ever seen. He was a pitcher, after all, and he was a really good pitcher. Anyway, the Babe hit a 2-run home run in the 4th inning, but the Red Sox still lost. And, interestingly enough, Ruth hit 6th in the lineup, not 4th. So like I said, nobody knew at that time what Babe Ruth was capable of. It wasn't until a few days later that Babe Ruth actually started hitting 4th in the lineup. In fact, on May 9th, 1918, when Hoblitzl was back in the lineup, they called him Hobby, by the way. So when they had Hobby back at first base, Ruth was the starting pitcher. Babe Ruth hit 4th in the lineup, and he went 5 for 5. I'm not kidding. Ruth was a star already, but this is the game that showed what he could do with the bat. Ruth hit a triple, 3 doubles, and a single, but Washington won it in the 10th inning on a sacrifice fly. Anyway, all of that brings us to 1919, and believe it or not, the Red Sox management didn't really know if they had a pitcher on their hands or a great hitter. Nobody at that time thought that Babe Ruth could be both, and that should remind you of another fellow named Shohei Ohtani. According to this April 3rd, 1919 issue of the Sporting News, the Babe wanted to stop pitching so he could hit full-time. Manager Ed Barrow wanted Ruth to pitch, probably because he was one of the best pitchers on the club. And the controversy continued through spring training when the Red Sox found themselves in Baltimore for a short series. Of course, as you know, Ruth was from Baltimore and had originally played for Jack Dunn and the Orioles before the Federal League forced Dunn to sell him to the Red Sox. That's a story for another video, of course. In fact, if you look through some of the older videos in this channel, you will find that I did make a video in the past or two on this very subject. Now, Jack Dunn was so upset that he vowed never to sell his best players to the majors for cheap again. This is the reason why Lefty Grove was not a major league star until much later in his career. Anyway, the series in Baltimore was originally set for 3 games, like you just saw in the article, but the Red Sox were delayed and came a day late. It wasn't an official series anyway, it was just an exhibition. But what Ruth did during that Baltimore series is really the stuff of legend. Ruth hit 4 home runs against the Orioles in the first game of that series. This would have tied the all-time record if it were an actual major league game, and it might as well have set the record given how impressive that feat was. Ruth made the entire Orioles staff look like Humpty Dumpty after falling off that wall. Babe Ruth then added 2 more home runs in the next game before finally striking out to end the streak at 6 straight homers. And there was no doubt in anybody's mind that Ruth was the greatest hitter that there ever was. Anyway, the second game of the 1919 season featured Babe Ruth and the Boston Red Sox taking on the New York Yankees at the old Polo Grounds. This is on April 23rd, a couple days after the season had already started in Boston. And this was a very big rivalry, even way back in those days. Remember, this is before the Babe was sold to the Yankees. Of course, as you know, the 1918 Boston Red Sox won the World Series after a shortened season. The Yankees, meanwhile, had only managed a 4th-place finish, a few games under 500. New York did make one key move in the offseason, acquiring Duffy Lewis, the old Red Sox outfielder. And on the other side of things, the Red Sox will start Carl Mays on the mound for this game. This is a man who would later become infamous for what he would do in a Yankee uniform. And so we're going to go ahead and jump right on into this one. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a history at the start of these. We're going to do a little bit more of those as we go forward. And for now, we're just going to jump straight on here into Diamond Mine Baseball. So it's just the same as we did yesterday. We're going to go through here. We're going to keep the lineups more or less the way that they were in real life. Now, I will warn you that I might have to look from time to time off camera over to a couple of notes and other things to make sure that I get stuff right about each of these players and everything else is going on. So we'll try to make this as smooth and as easy for you as we possibly can. This is, of course, at the Polo Grounds since there was no Yankee Stadium because Ruth was not in New York yet to build the house that Ruth built. So We'll go ahead and we'll jump on over here and we'll have some fun with baseball. Wind blowing left to right, 11 miles per hour with a partly cloudy sky. It's going to be a George Mogridge on the mound for New York. Mogridge, whose name I keep pronouncing incorrectly, was 10-9 in real life in 1919, 30 years old, kind of a veteran. In fact, there was a bit of a picture of him in one of the Boston newspapers showing him looking like a very, very old man. So that's the way that it was. The Yankees, by the way, have Homer and Baker, something that you might have forgotten, but Baker did play for the Yankees back in these days. For the Red Sox, it's going to be Carl Mays on the mound. As I mentioned a moment ago, Mays, who was 27 years old and who has a really interesting story in 1919. But we'll worry about that story a little bit later on. Let's go on and get with the game. And this is going to be Harry Hooper leading this off for the Red Sox, and he takes a ball in tied. 1-0 the count. Next pitch comes in. It's going to be a ground ball over to second base, and it is Pratt who fields that one and goes to first for the out. Hooper, by the way, 31 years old in 1919, had played with the Red Sox to that point for his entire career. And that'll bring up Jack Barry. Jack Barry, the old star of the Philadelphia Athletics, he was part of the $100,000 infield, another part of baseball history that we've all forgotten about. Barry comes up here and takes the ball inside. You'll also have to forgive me if I pause for a second or two as I try to drink some water. Another ball is low and away, 2-0. If you watch that entire doubleheader that I posted yesterday, which would probably take you a little while to watch, you'll notice that I started to lose my voice about halfway through. It's a little ground ball over to Peckinpah, and the shortstop lets that one go through his legs, and that is going to be an error on Roger. And so the Red Sox now have a runner on. That'll bring up Amos Strunk. Amos Strunk comes up, and let's see what we can find here about Amos Strunk, the center fielder. Strunk, another one of those players from the famous Philadelphia Athletics. So he actually survived the major sell-off after the 1914 season. He was around for a little bit longer and was kind of their star player until he went over to Boston before 1918. Strunk, by this point in time, 30 years old. And we'll see what Strunk is able to do for the Red Sox. And you got to believe that you want to bunt here and just try to get Ruth up with a runner on. Let's see what the computer decides to do. And there's a strike in there to Strunk. It's 0-1. Next pitch comes in, and there goes Barry. It's a strike, and his throw goes into center field. Barry, however, holds at second, so that's an error on the Red Sox. No, it's actually, they don't give him the error. It's just a stolen base. So I guess because he didn't go to third, they didn't give him the error, and they figured that Barry was going to beat the throw anyway. So that puts a runner on at second base now, and Strunk now, with an 0-2 count on him, has to swing defensively, but it does take away the double play. Mogridge's pitch comes in, and that's outside. 1-2 now. And Barry takes a couple steps off of second base. There's a fly ball to right field as Mogridge connects with that one. Vic goes back, still going back, and he catches that one far away from the plate. Barry tags the second base and goes over to third base and makes it pretty easily. And that means that there are two men out now with Babe Ruth coming up. And here comes the big question of the day, which is, do you pitch to Babe Ruth in this situation, or do you just walk him and get to the next man? Now, I'm not a big fan of walking somebody in the first inning. I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to go ahead and pitch to him. Let's have some fun. And this one is loose. Mogridge letting his nerves get the best of him, but Hannah able to get over to it and prevent that from going too far. So it's a 1-0 count now on Ruth. Powerful Babe Ruth stands in there and fouls this one away. 1-1 now the count. And the fans all waiting with bated breath, and you know that there was a big crowd here at Yankee State, or at the Polo Grounds. There was a ball outside. 2-1 now the count on Ruth, and this is the hitter's delight. 2-1 pitch comes in, and that's a good pitch that just misses. It's 3-1, and now what do? Do you actually pitch to him or pitch around him? I think we're going to pitch around him here. 3-1 pitch comes in, and that's high. So Mogridge ends up walking the Babe, and that will bring up Stuffy McInnes. So Babe Ruth finds a way to get on base. Remember, back in 1918, they don't really give you a prize for getting on base very much. McInnes, another one of the holdovers from the Philadelphia Athletics in the glory days. McInnes, of course, stayed with the club through the less glorious days of 1915 and so on, and was with the Red Sox, of course, during the 1918 World Series. There's a ball outside. It's 1-0 on McInnes. And this is in the dirt. Hannah able to keep it in the infield as that bounced off his shin guard, but Ruth able to move over to second base easily. And they're going to give that a wild pitch to Mogridge. So George having a little bit of trouble here with his control in the early going. And there are runners on at second and third now with a 2-0 count on Stuffy and 2 men out top of the first. That one is low for ball 3. It's now a 3-0 count. And there it is, the strike called in. They're almost automatic. Even back in 1919, you had the automatic strike. In fact, you go back to 1901, 1902, you'll find articles about it. 3-1 pitch now, and that's outside for ball 4. So George has walked 2. It's been an error and 2 walks, and that loads the bases here for Aussie Vitt. Have you ever heard of Aussie Vitt? Well, you've heard of Aussie Vitt now. Vitt, kind of a veteran from the Detroit Tigers, went over to the Red Sox here in 1919. And he was a part of a trade deal where the Red Sox gave up Eddie Einsmith, a player that you likely haven't heard of, formerly Washington Senator. Slim Love had played for the Yankees for a little while, and Chick Shorten, who had played for the Red Sox very, very briefly. So it looks like it was potentially a complicated trade that got Aussie Vitt over to the Red Sox in 1919. Another one of these players that many of us have probably never heard of before. And the first pitch comes in, and that's lined to right field, and that one falls in front of Vic. That will score at least 1, and it's Barry scoring and Ruth right behind him. McInnes goes over to third base, and that makes this a 2-0 lead for the Red Sox. So Boston coming out of the gates and coming out strong. 2-0 now the score, and they have their first base hit. That'll bring up Everett Scott. Everett Scott's another name you should know from the 1918 Red Sox, and he first pitch swinging, hits one past Pratt at second base and into right field for a base hit. One scores, and Vitt, who's very quick, goes over to third base. That'll bring up Wally Shang. So Mogridge really having his lunch handed to him here today. In real life in this game, by the way, as Shang fouls one away, the Red Sox scored 10 runs on 13 hits, and Mogridge went the distance. So can you imagine that on opening day? You go the distance, you give up 13 hits, 10 runs, 2 walks, 6 of the runs were earned. That's a real hard way to make your living. 0-1 pitch comes in, and there's a ball now to Shang, and Scott apparently had the sign to steal, wasn't able to go. 1-1 pitch comes in, and there's a strike on the outside corner, and so Shane gets a little look back to the umpire, and 1-2 now the count. Here we go. This one fouled out of play. A little bit of sort of a last-ditch effort to foul that one off with 2 strikes on him, so it remains 1-2. 1-2 offering, and that's hit deep over to center field, over the head of Lewis, and it's said here in the little bit of lack of realism. It says in the Diamond Mine play-by-play that it hit off the top of the fence. I kind of doubt that because it's about 450 feet away. But it was over the head of Lewis and kind of rolled back to the fence a little bit. Not too deep, though. Shang winds up with a double. Scott goes over to third, and that scores Vitt, and that makes this a 4-0 lead for the Red Sox. And the Yankees have to wonder here how long they're going to go with George. So at the beginning of the season, we haven't used anybody. I'm just looking here up and down the bullpen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 pitchers who you have available for you. Scheduled pitchers, and there's nobody. And the reason why is because there are a couple of games, I believe, that were rained out after this. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later when these teams play again. You have 7 pitchers and 5 men on the bench. That makes 12. 12 plus 9 is 21. And remember, the limit was 21 at the beginning of the season at least. Carl Mays up there takes swings and misses at a pitch, 0-1. And there's a ball off the inside edge. And Mogridge's problem has been his control, so it's 1-1 count now. This is lined off of Peckinpah's glove for a base hit. Scott scores. Here comes Shang around third going for home. Bodie's got this over in left field. He throws home. As Shang slides, goes down. Hannah grabs it and tries to put down the tag, and he's too late. And so Carl Mays has delivered with a single here in the top of the first inning. The Red Sox have batted around, and Mogridge has given up 6 runs on 4 hits and 2 walks in what has been an awful inning and an awful performance. Now, if you look over at George's, if you're watching this, not just listening, if you look over at his little box score, you can see that he's not been charged with any earned runs. That was because it's all started because of that error. But if you ask me, he hasn't done exactly a great job of pitching. We're going to leave him in for a little bit longer because it is 1919. Harry Hooper back up there takes the ball inside, 1-0. Swing and a miss on that one. It's now 1-1. The next pitch comes in, and it's pulled deep to right. Vic going back to the wall, and just makes the catch for the out. And so we go to the bottom of the first inning after all that. It's a 6-0 lead for the Red Sox, and here comes Sammy Vic for the New York Highlanders / Yankees, whatever it is you want to call them. The Sammy Vic coming up there. I suppose that they're the Yankees now because they're no longer playing at the Highlands. Vic, the right fielder, was sort of a once-in-a-while player for the Yankees, had a little bit of a cup of coffee in 1917 and 18. It's 1919 where he starts to get his rookie year underway. Vic takes a strike in their good pitch, 0-1. And there is a ball to him, 1-1 now the count. Mays offers again, that's inside and fouled away. It's 1-2. This is fouled back again, still 1-2. Carl May is one of the star pitchers on the Red Sox staff. That's inside, and it's a 2-2 count. 2-2 pitch, and that's just fouled away down the third base line. Remains 2-2. Hit to right field, but Harry Hooper's there and makes the catch for the out, 1 away. He'll bring up Roger Peckinpah, and it was his error that led to all the ridiculousness in the top of the first. He takes the ball, 1-0. And there's a pitch in there for a strike. 1-1 now to Rogers. He shakes his head a little bit and kind of asks what's going on and what the umpire is looking at. A little ground ball, line drive rather, to the right side. Barry snags that one in the air for the out, and there are 2 away. Up now is Wally Pipp. The 2 away, Wally Pipp, in first pitch swing, hits one up in the infield. It'll be Stuffy McInnes, the first baseman, after that one, and makes the catch for the out. And so we go to the top of the second inning, the Red Sox nursing a 6-0 lead. Jack Barry will lead this off. He's 0 for 1, but did score a run. He reached on that error. And he hits a little pop-up over behind the shortstop, Peckinpah going out there, and his hat flies over off his head, and he can't make the plays. He's running after that ball. Peckinpah looks like he doesn't know where he is or which side of the bread is puts his butter on. Peckinpah lost his hat on that play, lost the ball, and he lost everything, and it's a infield hit, sort of a fluke hit there for Barry, and that will bring up Amos Strunk. Strunk so far today 0 for 1. The Yankees looking for the double play. There's a strike in there to Strunk. 0-1 the count. And it's swinging a miss on that one. That makes it 0-2 in favor of George. Little ground ball slowly to third. Home run Baker fields that one, but his only play at first base, and Barry moves up to second. So with 1 out and first base open again, here comes the big Bambino. Ruth walked last time up and looks at a pitch wide. 1-0 now the count on the Babe. Popped up in foul ground. Pip, the first baseman, going after that one, dives for it but can't get there. 1-1. And every time the Babe does something like this, not just Ruth that looks amazing doing this, as you can see him with that majestic and very, very muscular frame going after those pitches and hitting them. Every time he hits anything that's not out of the ballpark, everybody on the defense is trying their hardest to catch it, to put him out. 1-1 pitch comes in. That's grounded between first and second. Pratt goes over, and he feels that one, flips over to first for the out. Barry moves over to third, and there are 2 men out. The 2 away, and here comes Stuffy McInnes. McInnes scored last time after walking, takes the ball. Of course, almost all the Red Sox have scored 1-0. Foul back, it's 1-1. And that's a pitch high by Mogridge, but they call that a strike. So 1-2 now the count. Just hearing a little bit of complaining from the Red Sox dugout, but they'll calm down. 2-2 now. That one missed low. 2-2 pitch comes in there to McInnes. Barry with a little bit of a lead off of third base, but he's not going anywhere. This is fouled away. Remains 2-2. And this is bounced to the left side. Peckinpah fields that one, throws to first base just in time for the out. And so we go to the bottom of the second inning. The Red Sox with a 6-0 lead. Home run Baker comes up there. Home run Baker, of course, the big hero of the World Series in which year was it? So we're going to look this up very, very briefly, as I believe it's 1911. Yes, 1911 World Series. Baker had 2 home runs. In 1913, he added a third one, the number 3. That's all it took back in those days. You had 2 home runs in a World Series, and they'll name you home run. Mays' pitch comes in. That's hit the other way into the gap over to right center field, but Strunk goes after that one into the gap and makes the catch for the out. There's 1 away. 1 away, that'll bring up Del Pratt. Pratt takes a strike, 0-1. Mays comes to him again, and there's a strike. That one's called a little bit late, of course, to him, so it's 0-2. Pratt, by the way, a veteran of the St. Louis Browns organization, went over to the Yankees in 1918. And then after the Red Sox were no good anymore, went over there in 21. Sort of a player you probably don't know much about. That one just misses him, 1-2. But he was on the Yankees in 1920 when they came so close to winning the pennant, but that's all in the future, right? This one just slides outside, and it's a 2-2 count now on Dell. Nobody on, that's fouled away, remains 2-2. Here comes Mays, swing and belted to deep left field. Ruth goes back, but remember it's the young Ruth. He's able to get there in time for the out, and there's 2 away. Here is Duffy Lewis. There is a strike away to Duffy, and that makes it 0-1. Duffy Lewis, of course, as I mentioned in the introduction, was with the Red Sox for quite some time. He was with Boston up through 1917. 1918, Lewis, of course, was over with the U.S. Navy, which was not really that unusual. There were a number of players who could see the writing on the wall and decided that he wasn't going to play ball that year. Instead, he was going to go play war. And, I mean, they didn't know how long the war was going to last. So some of these guys thought, you know, I'm going to get the job I want now instead of run the risk of being drafted and doing the job I don't want to do. Lewis, after he returned in December 1918, was dealt over to the Red Sox for about 15, or I'm sorry, dealt to the Yankees for 15 grand. Ernie Shower went over there as well. And there was a whole bunch of other guys who went the other way and didn't do anything for the Red Sox in the end. So Lewis with the 0-1 count grounds it over to the left side, and it's Vitt, the third baseman, who feels that and throws to first for the out. And we'll go to the top of the third inning. So there was much ado and much talking for not really much of a result, and that's kind of the way that this is. Top of the third, and that'll bring up Aussie Vitt again. It's poked foul towards first base side. 0-1 on Aussie. That's a ball low, 1-1. Of course, if you're watching the way I am, all you're thinking about is Ruth. This is fouled, hit in foul ground, but Pip can't get there. 1-2. Perfect pitch there to Vitt, but he just barely fouls that one away. Remains 1-2. Ground ball to second. Pratt fields it, and he throws that one away. Poor throw to first base. Pip had to leave the bag to go over and get it. Vitt easily safe, and they're going to give an error now to Pratt. And so a little bit of problems there, a little bit of nerves on the part of the Yankees playing the world champions, and this will bring up Everett Scott again. Scott is 1-for-1. Scott had an RBI single last time up, and he takes the ball from Mogridge, 1-0. And there's a strike in the inside corner, 1-1. George has settled down a little bit here. A little bit high, 2-1, but nobody out here top of the third with a runner on first. This is fouled away by Scott, 2-2. Foul back and out of play. Still 2-2 is the count. And that's teed off to the left side over in the gap, but Lewis is able to get there easily. Remember, you have a whole bunch of space out there in the outfield. There's one away, and that'll bring up Wally Shang. This is fouled away by Wally, 0-1. And there's a ball to him, 1-1 now the count. Way off the plate, 2-1 now to Wally. Swing and a miss, that makes it 2-2. 2-2 pitch comes from Mogridge. It's a little ground ball over the bag at second base. Peckinpah has that one, and he flips over to Pratt for one, and they throw over to first, but not in time for the double play. So with 2 men out, here comes Carl Mays. 6-0 Red Sox. A little pop-up over to right field. Vic has that one for the out, and we go to the bottom of the third inning. So 6-0 still the score, and that'll bring up good old Ping Bodie. So the Ping Bodie, of course, was with the Yankees in 1918, earlier of the White Sox, and then briefly with the Athletics. A lot of these guys who were kind of going around from team to team back in those days, even before free agency had a little bit of that, is that teams were looking for, you know, the diamond in the rough. There's a ball to Bodie, 1-0 the count. This is lined into right center field. Strunk and Hooper both going after this one, but it gets between them, and that'll be an easy double there for Ping. That'll bring up the catcher, Truck Hanna. So runner on at second base now for the Yankees with nobody out. Truck Hanna is the sort of guy who didn't play very long for the Yankees. Only there in 1918, 19, and 1920. Truck Hanna, sort of one of the backup catchers, had a pretty nice, though, career in the PCL. And after his time with the Yankees, he did go back to the PCL and played over for Vernon. So this is one of those players I think that we'll probably end up digging into a little bit more as this season goes on. Pitch from Mays is down and in for a ball, 1-0. And this is fouled away now by Hanna, 1-1 the count. Hit in the air to right center field. Strunk able to grab that one for the out. Bodie, not very fast, will tag it and hold it second. So there's one away, and that'll bring up the pitcher. And we'll see if we can bunt him over to the side. Mogridge bunts down the third base line. Vitt looks over to third base, and he throws over to the bag where Scott is covering, and they are able to get the lead runner out. So it's a little bit of a risk there by Vitt. Vitt, of course, had the easy play on the pitcher going down the line, but with Bodie not being a fast runner, he's able to nab him at third base, and so the bunt fails. And here comes Sammy Vick now again, as the Red Sox now with only the pitcher at first base and 2 men out, bottom of the third. There's a ball in there to Vick, 1-0. Line between first and second. McInnes dives for that one. That'll be a base hit. Mogridge doesn't have very much speed at all, so he'll be held at second, and that'll bring up Roger Peckinpah. The Yankees here now with 2 hits in this inning, and might have something going. We'll see what Peckinpah can do. Peckinpah looks at a ball, 1-0. This is fouled away at the plate. 1-1 now the count. Roger usually would bunt in this situation, but with 2 men out, nothing you can do. Hits this one to right field, hit that well, but Hooper's there to make the catch for the out, and we go to the top of the 4th inning. It'll be the top of the Boston order here, starting with Harry Hooper. Hooper 0 for 2. Had a bid for a home run last time, didn't quite get it, and he takes a ball, 1-0. Pulled over the bag at first base. Pip can't get to that one, that's in the corner, and that'll be an easy double for Hooper. Vic had to go over to retrieve that over by that wall with all those odd caroms off of it, right? 256 down the right field line, which is where that was hit, and that goes straight over to 352 in this odd-shaped ballpark. So that'll bring up Jack Barry now with a runner on at second base and nobody out. And here come the Red Sox again. Barry's 1 for 2, and he takes the ball low and away, 1-0. In the air over to center, Lewis has that one a little bit shallow and makes the catch, and Hooper can't really go anywhere. So 1 out, and here comes Amos Strunk. Strunk didn't stunk. He fouls that one away, 0-1. Takes the ball inside, 1-1 now the count. That's fouled back to the backstop, and that makes it 1-2. Mogridge has him where he wants him, and this is fouled away again. 1-2 still. Ground ball up the middle. Peckinpah was shading him that way. Hooper goes to third as Peckinpah throws over to first base for the out. I suppose he had no play on him at third. I'm not sure if Baker was on the bag or not. And so that'll bring up Babe Ruth. It's always kind of odd when you have that ground ball to short and the runner on second goes to third when he's not forced. That will bring up Babe Ruth here with 2 men out in the top of the 4th. First pitch to Babe is a ball way outside. Mogridge doesn't want to have any piece of the Babe if he can avoid it. Babe's 0 for 1 with a walk. It's inside on him and fouled away, 1-1. Ruth up there battling it away. Takes the ball high and inside. It's 2-1. And this is grounded wide to first through the hole, base hit. And so Ruth gets the RBI single, and that makes this a 7-0 ball game. And that will bring up Stuffy McInnes. So runner on at first base in the Babe. Babe, an excellent runner, of course, has quite a bit of speed. Here comes McInnes, and he takes the ball high. Mogridge not going to last very long if this continues. This is fouled away, 1-1. This is way inside of him and gets away. 2-1 the count. Everybody can pitch today because we already know what the schedule is going to do. This is fouled up behind the screen, and it's a 2-2 count now on McInnes. Mogridge has him where he wants him, but that's a little bit low. Full count, and George has been very, very picky here the whole time. He's been trying to hit those corners and has missed them. Chop fouled left side, full count remains. This is sliced over to right field, and Vic has it for the out. So that does it for the top of the 4th inning, and we go to the bottom of the 4th. 7-0 now the lead for the Red Sox. This will bring up Wally Pipp. Pipp takes a ball right at the middle, a little bit inside, 1-0. Pipp takes a little look over at Mays. This is outside, and Pipp chased that one, 1-1. So I suppose the psychological advantage now going with Carl Mays. 1-1 pitch is hit down the left field line, and Ruth runs over there, dives, and he's called out. He's called out, but it looks like a somewhat questionable call out there in left field. Of course, 1919, we don't have any replay, which is what you would imagine, but Ruth really dived out for that one. He went flat on out, and they're saying that that was a catch instead of a trap. So the famous Ruth looks like he got a little bit of a favorable call there. Home run Baker up there now, and his first pitch swinging hits a lazy fly ball over to right field, and Harry Hooper's got that for the out. There's 2 men away, and that will bring up Del Pratt. So Del Pratt now the batter here for the Red Sox, as we are in the bottom of the 4th inning with 2 men out, and third batter for the Yankees. I'm getting this confused. 7-0 Red Sox is the score. Here comes Pratt, and he misses a pitch high, 0-1. Mays' pitch, and that's bounced foul. 0-2 now the count. This is hit up the middle, bounces off the mound, but Scott, the second shortstop rather, is able to get there in time and throws over to first for the out, and we will go to the top of the 5th inning. So Red Sox with that 7-0 lead. Here comes Aussie Vid again. Aussie Vid, and he takes a quick strike in there from Mogridge. That makes it 0-1. Good old Aussie Vid, the third baseman here. One of these guys, like I said, that maybe doesn't get a whole lot of recognition in baseball history. Not exactly the best hitter in the world. 1-1 now the count. Aussie Vid's best seasons were 15 and 16 for the Tigers, at least if you go based on wins above replacement. But taking a quick glance at his averages, it was probably mostly fielding. 1-1 pitch, and this is hit over to right field, and it'll be Vic over there grabbing that for the out, and there's one away. Everett Scott now comes up here for the Red Sox. Right-handed, and that pitch just misses. It's a 1-0 count, as Mogridge not able to get that in the strike zone. Second pitch comes over, and that's hit foul over to the right side out of play. Over among the spectators, and so one of the ushers runs over, makes sure to grab that ball, and we're going to have another pitch come in. Scott takes this one inside, 2-1 out of the count. Inside, and that just missed. So 3-1 the count, and Mogridge is really falling apart in this game. 3-1 pitch comes, is dribbled in front of the plate, and that spins backwards, and a little bit of an acrobatic job there by the ball, as that was dribbled in front of the plate, looked like it was going fair, and then had so much topspin on it, went back foul. Full count now on Scott. Swung on and foul tip, but Hannah couldn't hold on. Count remains full. As just fouled out of play. Scott with an emergency swing. Full count. This is lined to first base and threw into right field. Pip not able to stop that one from getting through. And so it's a base hit for Scott. That's the 8th hit now for the Red Sox, and that will bring up Wally Shang. Shang so far today is 1 for 2. Scored a run, drove one in. Bounced out last time up. Takes a strike in the outside corner. 0-1. That's the pitcher's strike. There's a ball now to Shang. 1-1 to count. That's away, but it's a swing and a miss. 1-2. Mogridge with the psychological advantage. This one almost a wild pitch. Hannah had to go to his left to save that one. That was inside. 2-2 now, and this is a ground ball wide of first, and Pratt has that in the hole. He throws over to Peckinpah at second for 1, but that's all they get. So Shang able to go over to first base, doesn't really do his job, and maybe you should start bunting. If I'm the computer, I would start bunting there. So 2 men out, here comes Carl Mays. And Mays takes a strike at the knees, 0-1. There's the ball, 1-1 now the count. That's on the outside corner for a strike. It's 1-2 on Carl Mays. And this is fouled away off of Hannah. 1-2. As fouled back again, remains 1-2. And this is a little bit high. 2-2 now the count on Mays. Let's hit down the left field line, and it'll be Ping Bodie going over there to grab that one for the out. Well, we'll take a little bit of a break here. Just want to let you know, if you're enjoying this, if you enjoy the work that I do here on the channel, why don't you consider becoming a channel member for about, I think it's $4 or $5 a month. You can support me financially in all the things that I do. And if you want something a little bit more, go check me out over on Patreon. The link is in the description. And if you check out the stuff on Patreon, we have tons and tons of different old sporting events you can download, stuff that's hard to find, stuff including old radio broadcast, old video, and such for all sorts of sports you can imagine. So let's go ahead and go straight back to this, as we have Duffy Lewis here, bottom of the 5th inning. Lewis so far today is 0 for 1, takes a ball inside. Mays has only given up 2 hits. Fouled away, 1-1 now the count on Lewis. And swing and a miss by Duffy, it's 1-2. Chuck swing just hit his bat and fouled away, 1-2 now. As just foul, right over where Vitt was playing at third. There's a pitch up high to Lewis, so it's 2-2. Fouled straight back, it remains 2-2. This is popped way up. Shang, the catcher, looking straight up at the broadcast booth, and then makes the catch for the out, 1 away. I say at the broadcast booth, but the funny thing is that the Polo Grounds back in this day had no broadcast booth. There was no radio broadcast of the game. Ping Bodie now comes up there and takes a ball low. And there's another ball to him, 2-0, both low. And that's way off the plate by Mays, so it's a 3-0 count. Bodie will be taking this one all the way, and there's that automatic strike. 3-1 now. And that's high. So it's a walk by Mays, and that'll bring up Truck Hannah with 1 man out. Now this is the part of the game where you start asking yourself what you're supposed to do. And I think we're going to bunt. And there's a ball high. 1-0 the count. Bodie not a fast runner. We saw that earlier on. There's a nice bunt, a good bunt right in front of the plate. Chang had to field that one. His only play was to McInnes, who was backpedaling back to the bag. Makes the play at first base, and Bodie goes over to second. So 2 men out, and here comes Mogridge. I've always got to wonder how long we're going to stick with George, but I guess we'll stick with him a little bit longer. Mogridge had a failed bunt attempt last time up as he takes a ball. That's the one where Bodie was thrown out going to third. And Mays comes home with it. It's a base hit right up the middle. Bodie's rounding third. Strunk has a chance to throw him out, where the Yankees try to score him, and Mogridge will go to second base. McInnes cuts this one off, throws over to second base, and it's to Scott. The low throw gets to Everett Scott, and he gets the tag down, and that will throw out the runner, but the Yankees do score a run. So we go now to the top of the 6th inning after that sort of heads-up play. It's a 7-1 lead now for the Red Sox, and the Yankees look like they're going to start coming back. Mogridge, after all that running, goes back out to pitch. We'll see if that affects him much. Harry Hooper, first man up, takes a look at a ball, 1-0. There's a half swing, and that'll be a strike. 1-1 now the count. And there's another ball, as Mogridge has been all over the place with his control today. 2-1 pitch is in there for a strike, 2-2. Swung on and missed now, and Hooper's out of there. That's the first strikeout for Mogridge, and that will bring up Jack Barry. Remember, 1919, not really that big on strikeouts, as Barry takes the ball up and in, 1-0. It's hit lined over third base and foul, 1-1. It was more about putting the ball in play back then. It's not that people didn't realize that the strikeout was important. This is popped up over to the right side. Pip has that in foul territory 2 away, and that'll bring up Amos Strunk. It's just that most people didn't strike out back in those days because hitting was all about making contact instead of driving the ball. Strunk takes the ball outside. He's 0 for 3, then looks at a strike. 1-1 now the count on him. The only Red Sox not really to have a hit yet. And this is a hit over to a left center field. The left fielder, Bodie, running after that one and makes a beautiful play. And so we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Great play out there by Bodie, who we saw was not so fast on the base paths, but was pretty fast there in the outfield. That'll bring up Sammy Vick now for the Yankees. The first pitch swing hits this into left center field, and that's in there in front of Ruth for a base hit. And so Vick gets aboard, and that'll bring up Roger Peckinpah. 7-1 game, probably not the best time in the world to bunt, so we'll try some hitting and running. Vick goes off with this pitch, but Peckinpah pops that one up in the air. It's Barry, the second baseman, who decides he's going to get that for the out. Vick goes back to first base, 1 away, and that'll bring up Wally Pipp. So the Yankees having a hard time getting something going. Throw back to first, but Vick is back. Another throw to first, and Vick is back again. 4 hits is all that New York has had. This is fouled in the air and into the stands. 0-1 the count now on Pipp. This is hit over the opposite side. Vitt grabs that one before it hits the ground. That was a line drive, and Vick remains at first. So 2 away, and that will bring up the big man, home run Baker. So we got the home run man on the Red Sox, the home run man on the Yankees. Baker, though with no hits, takes the ball, 1-0. Ground ball right side. McInnes dives for that one, but it's through for a hit. Vick will hold at second base, and that will bring up Del Pratt. So the Yankees now with hit number 5, and here comes Pratt, who's 0 for 2 today. There's a pitch low from Mays. Mays a little bit rattled out there. 1-0 the count. That's high and off the plate. 2-0. And there's a strike by Mays. 2-1. This is belted to deep left field, and that baby's going, gone. And it is Del Pratt hitting the first home run of the season, as there were no home runs, as I recall, in that Braves game. Let me know if I'm wrong. And this makes this ball game a lot more interesting. A 7-4 lead now for the Red Sox, and that brings up Duffy Lewis. So Pratt got all a hold of that one and was able to sort of poke it out of the Polo Grounds. That'll bring up Duffy Lewis, 7-4 now. And as I said, Mays looked a little rattled. First pitch to Lewis, hit on the ground. It'll be Scott, the shortstop, fielding that one and going to first for the out, and we go to the top of the 7th inning. Babe Ruth comes up there. Ruth 1 for 2 today, scored a run, drove one in. And he missed his high, does Mogridge, 1-0. Ruth held up just barely, 2-0. Ruth with a good batting eye, and there is a strike in there, 2-1 on the Babe. Way inside on him, and it's 3-1. This is popped up, so George wins the battle. Hannah ends up catching that one, and there's one away, and up comes Steffi McInnes. McInnes is 0 for 2, and he takes a ball high, 1-0. I guess it wasn't just Strunk who had no hits. McInnes also doesn't, and this is hit deep to right field, but not deep enough. Wrong part of the ballpark to hit it in, and Vic goes back and gets that easily. There's 2 away, and here's Aussie Vid. Vid swings and misses to that one, 0-1. This is fouled off of his foot, so it's 0-2. He's in a hole already. And this one misses far away, 1-2 now the count. And that's low, 2-2. 2-2 pitch comes in, grounded to the right of Mogridge. It's Pratt, the second baseman who fields that, goes to first for the out. And so we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. It will be Ping Bodie coming up. Yankees down by 3, 7-4 ball game. There's a strike in there. That was swung on and missed, rather, by Bodie. He was chasing that bad ball by Mays, 0-1. This is grounded past Mays over the bag of second base into center field for a base hit, and that'll bring up Truck Hanna. So Bodie today, 2 for 2. He's been on base 3 times. That'll bring up Hanna, of course, the catcher. Runner going, swinging to miss, and Shang throws over to second base. Barry tries to get the tag down, but not in time, and it's a stolen base there by Bodie. Bodie with his first steal here of the season. Looking at him quickly in real life, he had 16 steals, 15 times caught. Not exactly the most efficient, but back in those days, they only cared if you stole. They didn't even keep track of the guys caught stealing most of the time. We've had to reconstruct a lot of those stats. But the Red Sox are kind of alerts now, 7-4 ball game, but here come the Yankees. 0-1 pitch comes in, ground ball to second. Barry gobbles that one up, throws over to first, and that gets away from him, and that will allow Bodie to score. Not a very fast runner, and Hanna goes over to second base. Did that go into the dugout? It did not, but it went, I think, close enough. So it's a 2-base error on Barry, and that will bring out the pitcher, Mogridge, and it's a 7-5 ball game. The question is, do you stick with George here, or do you put in a pinch hitter? Personally, I think you're kind of forced to put in a pinch hitter here and to try to get something to happen. So we'll go look at the lefty-righty splits here for a second. Of course, in real life, not only did they not have the ability to do this, they didn't have this luxury, but, they were going basically based entirely off of feel. We're going to use Chick Fuster here as the pinch hitter for the Yankees. So Fuster comes into this ball game hitting 287. Go take a quick look over at Fuster. If we can find out any more information about him quickly as he sort of warms up and lumbers up to hit. Chick Fuster, kind of the utility infielder. This was his 3rd season. He's only 19 years old in 1919. We'll take a close look. I'm sorry, he's got to be older than that. 22 years old is what I mean in 1919. There we go. Fuster, of course, was another one of these guys who eventually would be involved in a trade between the Yankees and the Red Sox, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So Chick comes up there, and he takes the ball outside, 1-0. Hit over to right, and that's into the alley. That bounces to the wall. Hanna will score from second, and Fuster ends up with the double, and that makes this a 7-6 ball game, and that'll bring up Sammy Vick. We'll see how much longer the Red Sox will stick with Carl Mays, and we've already made our decision, the Yankees, that is. Vick is 2 for 3, hits this up the middle for a single. Strunk feels that one. Fuster's got a good wheels, and so he's going to go for home. Vick trying to take that throw offline. The throw goes through to the plate. Fuster goes down. Shane grabs that one, and the play at the plate is a cloud of dust, and they've called him safe. They've called him safe, and Fuster scores, and that makes this a 7-7 ball game, and we have a brand new ball game. Vick, of course, safe at second base, made it on the single, and then to second on that throw home. And there are going to be a couple of changes here for the Red Sox. So they do the double switch. They're going to have the pitcher, Sad Sam Jones, comes in to pitch, and Mike McNally will go over and play third base. So the Red Sox having to make the switch as the Yankees have scored 7 runs and have tied it here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And this is what a heck of a way to begin this one. The next man up, of course, is Roger Peckinpah. There's nobody out in the bottom of the 7th. Peckinpah today 0 for 3. So Sad Sam Jones delivers. This is line of the gap and right, and Hooper cuts that one off. It's all he can do, and the runner Vick ends up scoring, and that makes it an 8-7 lead for New York, and that will bring up Wally Pipp. 8-7, and the Yankees have come all the way back from the 7-0 deficit. Ground ball by Wally Pipp up the middle. Scott fields that one, feeds over to Barry for one. They try for the double play at first, but not in time. That will bring up home run Baker. 8-7 still the score. Frank Baker today is 1 for 3. And he takes the ball high. 1-0 is the count on home run. And this is blasted out deep to left. Ruth going back to the bleachers and just catches that in front of the wall for the out. And there's 2 men out. And we almost had more fireworks there. That'll bring up Della Pratt. 2 men out. Oh, baby, what a game this one is. Pratt takes the strike. 0-1 the count on him. That misses inside. It's 1-1 now on Dell. This is foul back to the left out of play. 1-2 now the count. That's high. 2-2. There's a throw back to first. Pip gets back in time. No problem. This is hit the other way. Hooper goes back and is able to catch that one for the out. So the Yankees able to score 4 runs, and this is now an 8-7 ball game. And now we got to think about who in the world we're going to put in. The question is, do we want durability? Do we want somebody who's a really good pitcher? Do we care that much about ERA? It'll be Thor Mallon. I think I'm saying that name right. So we'll put in Thor Mallon is who the Yankees are going to put in. Hank Thor Mallon will come in, and he will be the new pitcher here for the Yankees. Thor Mallon in real life in 1919 appeared in 30 games, started 25 of them, but I suppose we can give him this kind of appearance. His specialty during this time with the Yankees, before he went to Boston in 1921, you can see there's almost sort of a train service between the two cities. There's a ball over there to Everett Scott. Thor Mallon in 1919 is known for giving up home runs, so we'll see if this happens today. This is foul tipped into Hannah's mid. 1-1 now the count on Everett Scott. Swung on fouled into his mid again. 1-2. Hannah with a lucky mid. This is chopped wide to third. Baker cannot get that one, and he screens out Peckinpah, who was trying to get it behind him. So bad fielding play there by home run Baker, and that puts a runner on at first base in the top of the 8th inning, and that'll bring up Wally Shang. You've got to believe that they're bunting here. They have the corners in on him, and that's rolled past the mound. That's a good play there by Pratt, the second baseman, who fields that, throws over to first base in one motion, but Scott goes over to second. The 1 man out, and there is Mike McNally coming up. First ball swinging, fouls that away. 0-1 the count on McNally. That's down and away, but McNally chases it. It is 0-2. Bouncer over to third base, and Baker has it and throws that one high over Pip's head. That'll score the run. McNally goes over to second base easily, and we have an 8-8 ball game. 3 errors now on the Yankees, and that will bring up Harry Hooper. So Thor Mallon has to deal with his own infielders. There's a strike to Hooper, 0-1. The ball inside, 1-1 now the count. Grounded hard down the first base line. Pip fields that one, goes to the bag himself. McNally goes over to third, but there are 2 men out. That will bring up now Jack Barry. Exciting game. What a way to start this. Strike in there to Barry, 0-1. If all these games are like this is going to be crazy. A little ground ball over to short. Peckinpah fields that and goes to first for the out. And so we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, all knotted up at 8 each. What a game this has been so far. So the Red Sox had a 7-0 lead, and the Yankees sort of chopped away at that one and have now tied the game. They had an 8-7 lead for a little while, and now the Red Sox have come back. So it will be Duffy Lewis leading this off in the bottom of the 8th inning. Swing and a miss at that first pitch. It's 0-1. That's fouled away. 0-2 now the count. That's a little bit high on Duffy. 1-2. At one high again. 2-2. It's hit over to shallow right field. Hooper coming in on that one, and that one ends up bouncing past him. So poor play by Hooper, and it's going to be a base hit for Lewis. It was going to be a base hit anyway. Hooper let that one get past him, and Lewis goes over to second base. It works the same as a double, but it'll be a single in the box score, and that brings up Ping Bodie. So Bodie today is 2 for 2, and boy, I tell you, everything is getting a little bit more complicated. This game looked like New York couldn't buy a hit. They have 11 hits now against 9 for the Red Sox. Good batting averages, by the way, in 1919, if you're thinking of replaying this season. There's a ball inside on Ping, 1-0. And a strike called on him, 1-1 now the count. Pop foul, 1-2 up in the press box, 1-2. Ball 2 to Bodie. I say no announcer booth. This is hit over to right field. Hooper has that for the out, one away. A couple minutes, maybe 20 or so minutes ago, I said there's no announcer booth, but there is a press box, and maybe that's where we're stationed. I'm not sure. One away, and here comes Truck Hannah. And he bounces this one past Everett Scott for a base hit. Lewis has wheels. The question is, do they try Ruth's arm? I think we're not going to try it here. So we're going to hold Lewis over at third base, and that'll bring up Thormalen. And it's time for another pinch hitter. Normally, we probably wouldn't be doing this so much, but this is kind of a game you want to win. 8-8 game in the bottom of the eighth. I can't let the pitcher hit. Question is, do we put in Muddy Rule, who probably is the best hitter that we have against righties, or should we put in Lamar? So the Yankees are going to go with Lamar, Bill Lamar, and they'll keep the backup catcher on the bench. This is a ball that was in the dirt up by Shang, and that hits the umpire, and down he goes. And that's got to hurt, especially back then. I mean, I guess they had, the big chest protector that you hold, but that was about it. Did they even have that, though, in 1919? So there's a little bit of research we got to do, figure that one out so we have the right picture in our head. 1-0 now the count on Lamar. And that's a strike down the middle of the plate. It is 1-1. The next pitch comes in, and he gets that one down, and it's a suicide squeeze. Lamar throws over to first base. That's all. McAnally throws to first base. That's all that he can do. Gets the batter out. Lamar had laid down a perfect bunt, and that scored the runner from third, and that makes this a 9-8 ball game. How many 9-8 games do you know that turn on a sacrifice suicide squeeze? And that's what we've had. Sammy Vick comes up there now, runner on at second base. So it's a gutsy play by the Yankees as Vick takes a strike. And it works. There's a ball high and outside. 1-1 now the count. This is popped behind the plate. Wally Shang running after that one. No dice. 1-2 now. Swing misses that pitch, does Vick. And down he goes. And we go to the bottom of the ninth inning. So who do you put in? Well, we could do Lefty O'Doul. Remember, nobody really has saves back in those days. Bob Shockey, probably your best option. So I think we will go with Shockey. This is kind of cheating. It's just because I know, as you can see again, we have no scheduled pitchers. So, we know that there's going to be at least 3 days off. So it'll be Bob Shockey coming in, making his first appearance of the season. Amos Strunk fouls one away, 0-1. It'll be Strunk, Ruth, and McInnes. Next pitch comes in, that misses low. 1-1 now the count. This is a little bit longer than I usually like to play, but so it is. This is swing and a miss, 1-2. And there's a little soft liner to right field, and it's a base hit in front of Vick, who lets that one get by him. Right field, now the difficult field to play in. Strunk goes over to second base on that poor play by Vick. That's the fourth error for the Yankees. And here comes Babe Ruth, and he can turn this game around with one swing of the bat. So Shockey going to pitch to Ruth. There's a strike in the outside corner. 0-1 the count. Strike, no. Ball just low. What a count. What a call. The 1-1 now the count on Ruth as he gets the favorable call. Half swing on that. That's called a strike. 1-2 now on the Babe. It's deep to right field, and Vick goes over and runs that down for the out. Strunk tagged up and goes over to third base easily. So one out, and that'll bring up Stuffy McInnes. The the Yankees are going to have to bring the infields in on the corner. 9-8 now the score. It's dribble foul. 0-1 now the count on Stuffy. Ruth came so close to that first home run, and that's fouled away. It's 0-2. That's a ball outside. 1-2 now the count. That misses high and outside. 2-2. Line drive to center field, and that falls just in front of Lewis. And so the Red Sox have tied this game at 9. And McInnes is the runner on at first base, and that'll bring up the pitcher spot, sad Sam Jones. Runner on at first base and one out, 9-9 ball game. Jones takes the ball low, 1-0. And there's one bunted foul in the dirt. It's 1-1. And he takes the strike as he was trying to bunt there, and it didn't work. 1-2 is the pitch. It's a good bunt back to the pitcher. Shockey throws over to Pratt covering up first. McInnes goes to second, and there are 2 men out. That brings up Everett Scott. And this pitch crosses Hanna up. He lost sight of that for long enough for McInnes to move to third. That'll be called a pass ball. Everett Scott now with the runner on a third base, and there's a ball off the plate, 2-0. Shockey having some trouble with the control, and that's way outside. 3-0 now the count. There is a strike in the outside corner. It's 3-1. And that's on the inside corner. Full count now on Scott. And that's on the inside corner, called strike 3. What a pitch to take. And so we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Yankees come up in this 9-9 ball game. It'll be Peckinpah, Pip, and Baker. Peckinpah fouls that one back. What a game this has been. Bruce just missed a game-winning home run. Well, what could have been one. 1-1 now the count on Roger. Blasted deep to right field, but not deep enough in this ballpark as Harry Hooper goes over and makes the catch for the out, 1 away. Wally Pipp up there now. Pipp's 0 for 4, and he takes the ball, 1-0. There's a strike right down the middle. 1-1 the count now on Wally, and that's fouled away. 1-2 is the count, and there's a ball on Pipp, 2-2. Grounded down the line at third base. McNally fields that one. Good play by McNally. He throws to first for the out, 2-man out. And here comes home run Baker, who's 1 for 4. He came close to a home run last time up, and he takes a strike, 0-1. Ground ball to first. McInnes has that one, goes to the bag himself. And we will go to the top of the 10th inning. It'll be Wally Shang and McNally, followed by the top of the lineup. There's a ball to Shang. 1-0 is the count. 1 for 4 so far today. And he takes another ball, 2-0. Smash down the left field line. Bodie, left fielder, runs after that one. He's able to cut it out, but cut it off rather. But that'll be a single for Shang, and that'll bring up Mike McNally. And he's going to bunt. And there is the bunt, and this is bunted foul to the left side, 0-1. Inside with the ball, 1-1 the count now. This is high, 2-1 the count. Shockey having a hard time with the control, and the bunt is on, and he misses that one, so it's 2-2. Swing and a miss of the pitch in the dirt. McNally out on strikes, and that'll bring up Harry Hooper. Hooper so far today is 1 for 5, and he takes a strike in the outside corner, 0-1. Way off the plate, 1-1 now the count. That's fouled straight back, it's 1-2. Liner to short center field. Lewis, though, able to come in and make the catch for the out, 2 away, and that'll bring up Jack Barry. And there's a strike on the outside edge by Barry, 0-1. Just fouled away. 0-2 now the count on Jack. There's a ball off the black. 1-2. There's a second ball to him. 2-2 the count now on Barry. Little check swing roller. Shockey able to field that one. Third base side. Throws to first for the out. And we go to the bottom of the 10th inning. It'll be Del Perry leading this off here for the Yankees. Yankees had a golden chance in the bottom of the 9th. Couldn't score. There's a ball to Pratt as he checked his swing, and there's a strike as he pulled out of the way, 1-1. Off the plate, and it's 2-1 now on Del Pratt. That's his straight back to Jones, who in self-defense feels that one, throws over to first for the out, 1 away. Remember back in those days, they still had kind of the smaller gloves. Lewis up there now takes a strike. He's 1 for 4. Ground ball up the middle. That's past Barry, who was diving for it, and it's a base hit, number 13 for the Yankees, and that will bring up Ping Bodie. So Ping Bodie comes up there, and with this kind of game, you do have to bunt. It feels odd bunting so many times when you have so many hits. There's a ball in there to Bodie, 1-0. And he does sacrifice back to the mound. Jones gobbles that one up. He is the only play first base as he throws to McInnes. Lewis moves up to second. He's the runner up there with 2 men out, and that'll bring up Truck Hanna. Hanna is 1 for 3 today and has tried to bunt all the time today. Takes the ball low, 1-0. I think he's bunted twice. Fouled away. 1-1 now the count on Hanna. Popped foul, out of play. 1-2. Low for a ball. 2-2 now the count. Just fouled away. Remains 2-2 on Truck. Looped over short, and Ruth, the left fielder, comes over and grabs that for the out. That was hung up in the air a little bit. And so we go to the top of the 11th inning. It's going to be Amos Strunk up there against Bob Shockey, who's still pitching. And there's a ball low to Strunk, 1-0. There's a pitch too far outside, 2-0 now the count. Ground ball over to shortstop, Peckinpah on the first, 1 away, and here he comes again, Babe Ruth. Tucks in his shirt, and that misses high, 1-0 now the count on the Big Bambino. And he holds up in that one, 2-0. They didn't call Ruth that back in 1919, though. This is south of the knees, 3-0. I think they're going to walk him here. There's the strike to Ruth, 3-1. And he just fouled that one away, did Ruth. You'd think he would try to get on base. He's got a full count on him now. And he goes the opposite way. Bodie goes over to the left fielder, and he makes the catch for the out. And there's 2 away. Here comes Stuffy McInnes. I thought this game would be faster, and we're near the hour mark. And this is a fly ball down the first base line. Vic running for it, cannot get there in time. Vic playing a little bit too deep, and that's an easy double there for McInnes, who's able to make it into second ahead of the throw, and that brings up the pitcher spot. So with 2 men out in the top of the 11th, the Red Sox have a runner on at second base, and that's their 13th hit. Here comes Sad Sam Jones. ripped hard towards first base. Pip can't come up with that one. And Jones is going to be safe at first. McInnes goes over to third base. They're going to call that an error on Pip. So they're ruling that that's not a base hit, not an infield hit, but rather an error on Pip. That one really ate Pip up a little bit, and do you think that that call is a little bit harsh? That's the 5th error on the Yankees, and that will bring up Everett Scott. So there you've got the blast, and you've got the bloop, and let's see if they can do one more to score a run and send us home. The ball low and in to Scott, 1-0 the count. And there's a strike on Everett. 1-1. Line shot over second base, but Lewis, the center fielder, gets there in time. And so Scott leaves 2 men on. And we go, can you believe it, to the bottom of the 11th inning. And it's going to be Bob Shockey up there, and we'll have him hit for himself. There's a strike called on Shockey, 0-1. Next pitch from Sad Sam Jones, and that's kind of a sad pitch for him to throw. That's a little bit outside, and Shockey chased after that one. It's 0-2, and Jones has him where he wants him. Misses high, 1-2 as he's held off. But this one he doesn't hold off on. He swings and misses to that one, and down he goes quietly to the bench. 1 away, and here comes Sammy Vick. Vick today 3 for 5, having a good day. He drove in a run as he takes the ball wide of the plate. That's what you want your leadoff man to do. 2-0 now the count on Sammy Vick. Swing and a miss, it's 2-1. There's ball 3 a little too far in. 3-1 now. And he was taking all the way, and Jones missed. And that's the first walk that Sad Sam Jones has given up. That'll bring up Roger Peckinpah, and you know it is bunt o'clock once again. So Peckinpah comes up, and he's going to bunt. Bunted towards first. McInnes fields that one, and he has no choice but to tag Roger out, and Vic goes over to second. So 2 men out. Here comes Wally Pipp, man in scoring position. That's low for a ball, 1-0 on Wally. Bouncer, Barry, the second baseman, fields that one, throws to first in time for the out. We go to the top of the 12th. I think you knew this was going to happen. Here comes Wally Shang. Shang hitting first. And that's a ball high to him from Shockey, 1-0. Ground ball to the right side, 1-1 now. That was foul. Inside for a ball, 2-1 now on Shang. Swing and a miss, it's 2-2. And 2-2 pitch is in the dirt. Full count now on Shang. Ground ball over to second base. Pratt just can't get there, and that must have hit a pebble. So it's a base hit there for Shang. That'll bring up Mike McNally. Runner on at first base, hit 14 for the Red Sox. McNally looking to bunt, but he takes the ball high, 1-0. Bunted out in front, and there's some confusion there. Nobody knows where that was who was going to get that. Hannah, Shockey, Baker, they kind of had a meeting there right in front of the mound. Bunch of dirt out there, and in the end, McNally has himself an infield hit, and that puts runners on at first and second now for the Red Sox. And here comes Harry Hooper. You're going to keep Shockey in there. There's a bunt back up front again by Hooper, and this one is actually fielded by Shockey, and he throws over to Pip at first for the out, and that puts runners on at second and third. That will bring up Jack Barry with only 1 man out. We're going to walk Barry intentionally, and there he goes. So he takes his four balls outside, and that'll bring up Amos Strunk, and in comes the infield. And this is popped up in the air just wide of first now to play. 0-1 now the count on Strunk. And that's away. 1-1 now the count. That's outside, and it's 2-1 on Amos Strunk. Bouncer to first, and Pip fields that, goes over to Hannah at the plate for 1, and the relay back to first not in time. And so the bases remain loaded. There are 2 men out here now in the top of the 12th, and look at who's coming up. Babe Ruth today is 1 for 5. He scored a run, he drove in a run, and that feels like it was eons ago. Ruth comes up here again. Just missed a home run last time, and there's a pitch high and outside for a ball, 1-0 on the Babe. This is bounced slowly up the first base line, foul, 1-1. Powerful Ruth jams this one over to the right side. Shockey fields this one, throws over to first, not in time, and Babe Ruth is able to just beat that out, and that scores a run. That makes this score 10-9. So the Big Bambino does it, and that'll bring up Stuffy McInnes. Not exactly a clout by Ruth, but it gets the job done. And here comes Stuffy. 2 for 6 was Ruth. 2 for 5 is McInnes as he fouls this back, 0-1. Fouled back away again. 0-2 now the count on McInnes. This is chopped back over off of Shockey's glove. He runs that one down, flips over to first base, and he can't get there in time, and that's going to be an error on the pitcher. And so the error causes another run to score. 6 errors now on the Yankees. That'll bring up Sad Sam Jones. 11-9 the ball game, top of the 12th. There's a strike to Jones, 0-1. We've had a lot of action. It's low now to Jones, 1-1. And that's called strike 2. 1-2 now the count. None of those balls hit hard. Swing and a miss by Jones, and down he goes. Down goes the pitcher, of course, and we go to the bottom of the 12th. And how about this? So after all of that, Boston puts in a new pitcher. It's going to be Herb Pennock, and they decide to make their change after everything happened. It's going to be Roxy Walters now catching, Pennock the new pitcher. And so we go to the bottom of the 12th. It's going to be home run Baker, then Pratt, and then Lewis. And let's see if the Yankees can come back and tie this one. Baker is 1 for 5, takes the ball off the plate, 1-0. Fouled that one back, 1-1 now on home run Baker. There's a strike in the outside corner, 1-2. And it's fouled away, still 1-2. There's a ball inside, 2-2 now the count. Popped up. McInnes, first baseman, has that for the out, 1 away. Del Pratt now takes the ball inside, 1-0. Line to right center field, but that one tails a little bit, and Hooper able to get there in time for the out, and there's 2 away, and up comes Duffy Lewis, the last hope for the Yankees. Lewis lines this one past second base. That's a single, and that'll bring up Ping Bodie. So the Yankees with yet another chance, and here comes Ping Bodie, and there's a runner on at first base. 2 men out, bottom of the 12th. There's a strike to Bodie, 0-1. That's down and away, but he chased that one, 0-2. And there's a ball to Ping, 1-2 now the count. That's hit off the end of the bat, looped into center for a base hit. A very good job by Bodie fighting that one off. And they're going to play conservatively, so Bodie now 3 for 4, third hit of the game, and 15th for the Yankees, and that'll bring up Truck Hanna in one of these situations again. Hanna is 1 for 4, and they're going to need him to get a base hit here. Ground ball over to first base. McInnes fields that one, goes to the bag himself for the out, and at long last, this game has finished. So the Red Sox, 11 runs, 16 hits, 2 errors. Yankees, 9 runs, 15 hits, and 6 errors in one of the wildest games that we've seen in a long time. So Mays and Mogridge didn't really last very long, and this game just kept going on and on and on. The home run, of course, came off the bat of Pratt, so nothing for home run Baker and nothing for Babe Ruth. It was Del Pratt who hit that home run, and that's the way that this one ends. So final score again, Red Sox 11, Yankees 9. And boy, I hope you enjoyed that one. This is one that kind of keeps you up all night, and it's not going to be till tomorrow that we get this video ready and up on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, just let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we're going to have a lot more where this one came from. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.